Hello everyone and welcome to the Rustic Charm Video Hop. I'm Bridget Casey with Bridget Casey Designs, and you're getting a sneak peek of what we are going to be doing in this next 10-ish minutes. So I'm showing you there, my card is 6.5 by 4.5. I'm also showing you the inks I'm going to use, which were Iceberg, Eastern Sky, Ultramarine, and Azurite. If you miss any of the supplies, don't worry. There's a list at the end, as always, because I know sometimes I panic and I'm like, what did they use? So don't worry about that. I got you covered in the end. There is a supply list. So I'm just ink blending this on. I want a nice dark background on my cardstock. And now that I've achieved a look I'm really super happy with, and this will dry into the paper more, just so you know. So it looks light, but wait till you see as I'm working on it, and I'd let it dry. I did sprinkle water on there. I let it sit for, I don't know, 20 seconds, as long as it took for me to grab a paper towel and just kind of pick up the extra droplets. I was not super stoked with how much I got. So I'm coming in with my pure white metallic spray and I'm splattering. Splattering is the happiness of life, I have found. I used to avoid it like the plague because I'm type A and it's hard to control splatter. But I've embraced it. As you can tell, I've embraced the splatter and it's been fun. My splat box is kind of pretty with lots of emery hair caked into it now because never had a long hair cat. Didn't know that was going to happen. So now we're going to come in with antique silver metallic spray. I will come in a moment with some antique gold. When using these and you're splattering straight from the bottle, the key part is to keep that white part that I'm tapping. I want the end to release the ink. I don't want it to come from the sprayer part up there. I don't want, because big droplets kind of hang out where the straw, the straw, no, it's not the straw. You know, the piece goes into that white part there where they meet. That's where the big droplets come from. So if you keep that off your project, usually you won't get bigger drops. I did get a few because I went in that one last time, and that's what gets you. So I'm starting with a piece of spicy yogurt cardstock. I really like how that adds some dimension to my project without me doing anything. So it adds those little flecks and little color. So I love it. So I'm starting with pumpkin pie and I'm stamping the second layer. And you're like, Bridget, what are you doing? And so here's the trick. So first of all, I'm going in with mango smoothie. Now we'll move on to my eyes were dilated while I filmed this video. So I had really big eyes. So it made it easier to stamp the second layer and then the first layer, because the second layer was so bold and beautiful and I could line it up super easy. The second part is I wanted to tone down that pumpkin pie. I really love my mango smoothie pumpkin pie combo, but sometimes pumpkin pie can be overwhelming with what you're doing. So stamp another ink over it, a different yellow tone, and there you go. So look at me. I showed you die cutting 1 and I have 6. Wow. Magic of video editing, my friends. So here we go. We're laying out the bells. All I could think of the whole time is for whom the bell tolls while I was doing this project. So at least it wasn't a song, and I've broken into song for you guys because nobody needs to hear that. So I'm showing you, I'm going to use 3 bells only. I made 6 just to be sure. I'm taking a 1/2 inch circle die and I'm putting it behind where my bells are because my bells are going to shimmy and shake. This is where I wished that I had thought to dry my panel because I had white all over my thing. But I showed you die cutting one of the circles. The rest I just did off screen. There I'm showing you that my card base is 6.5 by 4.5. So that means it's 6.5 by 9 scored at 4.5. So here we're going to go in 2 different directions here. As you guys know, I often do. I am going to put these down with some low-tack tape because I'm putting them where I think I want them. And then I realized I probably should go ahead and heat set my sentiment that I stamped a moment ago in Obsidian Pigment ink. And the stamp comes from the Mini Delight polar bear. So here we are, we're going to heat set. This is how crafting really takes place in my craft room. So you guys are really getting a look at how I craft. Like, I don't craft organized. Like, the old phrase, I see a squirrel, that's me. So I'm showing you here, I'm using round adhesive that's 0.25. So it's a 1/4 of an inch round adhesive. So they will shimmy and shake when we're at the end of this project. Now, if you want your bells to move in a different direction, you could always use the featured sentiments dies. Those would be perfect to stick in some foam tape behind, and they would go side to side. Or if you put the die at an angle, they'd go at an angle. So that was a 1/16 inch punch that I just punch holes in the top of my ornaments so I could put some of the gorgeous metallic thread from Altenew through. And then again, I'm just tacking it to the back with some low tack tape so I can keep that in place. There's a lot of low tack tape going on. Now I'm going to go ahead and cover the back with the Altenew foam tape. But see, I've left, as I was putting the tape, I was sliding my circles around so that I made sure I didn't get in the space. And you do not need to put glue on the back of your foam tape. The reason I do it is because it gives me about 5 seconds if I put that card panel down and I am crooked. It gives, and that has saved me, guys. That has saved projects. So that's the only reason you see that. So, and see, oh, isn't it cool? They shimmy and shake. It's so exciting. I love interactive cards. I don't often make them. And sometimes if you shimmy shake too much, it will come out. So just careful. Careful shimmying and shaking. But it's just fun. And see, the background did kind of even out as the inks soaked into the paper. They evened out a tad, which is how they do it because they have to soak in. So for our next project is very colorful, except it's not as colorful as I thought it was going to be. So I'll explain that in a second. So I cut 2 pieces of cardstock at about 2 3/4 by 9, and I taped them together because I decided I would just do them both at once, but I had already die cut them, so I'd already cut them with my trimmer so that I could run the bookmark through. I ended up only using the rainbow prism inks, and I do drop my green. I'm going to stamp a green one, and I drop it on there. I just used my bell as a placeholder so that I could stamp above that. And, oh, there's my green where I dropped it. I used that extra bell I had as a placeholder so I could see where was a good idea. I could stamp and I would still have room for another bell. So I just covered both of these panels with the inks. I only used the rainbow prism. I was originally going to use 12 inks. So originally I was going to stamp the darker shade, and like we did with the pumpkin pie mango smoothie, go in with the lighter shade and stamp over it. And then I was like, oh my gosh, this is so vibrant and gorgeous. I can't do that. So I didn't do that. So now I'm taking the tall tale bookmark and running it through my die cut machine, making sure to run it at an angle. Because I didn't dry my ink when I cut the second bookmark, the 'Tis the Season had gone on there, so I had to stamp it on both. I did try to put one of the books from the book set on there, and it didn't work. It was too big for my bookmark, so for my orientation of my bookmark. Now I'm just putting a blank spicy yogurt on the back of my beautiful colored panels, just to give it some heft and to hide the kind of marks that get made when you die cut. Now I'm only putting this at about the top 2 1/4 inches. So I'm going to line them up and glue them together. And I just use my glue tape pen because that stuff is super strong. And I'm going to show you in one of my school books. Look, see? It's like a little space. So you just hook it all over the top and it sticks way out there. You could do it in a planner too. And that's next November, guys. There's nothing in there, so don't try to slow it down. See what you can see. I then put some jute twine there just at the top, just as an easy pull. So I've needed a lot of bookmarks lately. And there you go. Here's the supply list for everything that we used. And I can't wait to see you at the next video. Have a wonderful day.